We are now on stage 3, building an index on page 511. Let's talk about indexes. Indexes are the section in the back of the book that you can go, that's in alphabetical order, that you can look up things. So anyway, that's what we're going to learn how to build now in InDesign. So let's talk about it. As with tables of contents, creating an index used to be an extremely time-consuming and laboriously intensive process. However, InDesign includes an index tool to manage and automate part of the indexing process, improving the production workflow and saving considerable amount of time when changes are inevitably made. Nonetheless, the process of identifying relevant terms and tagging them for inclusion in the index must be done manually. So there really is no quick way of doing an index, and you're going to have to put some work into it here. Thankfully, we have shortcut keys which help, though. Despite the manual nature of the process, some advanced planning can make your indexing life easier. While you can always change the style definition later in the process, indexing involves a number of styles that you should plan on in advance. 1. Paragraph styles for index headings. So that's like heading 1, heading 2, so on and so forth. Paragraph styles for 4 levels of index entries. If you don't define these styles in advance, they will automatically be created for you when you generate the index. Character styles for page numbers of each index entry. If you want them to be formatted differently than the paragraph style, use the index entry. Character styles for cross-references, if you want them to be formatted differently than the index entry. So anyway, it gets way more in depth than I want to get into as far as all of that goes. But what we will do is build a basic index and use shortcut keys, and you will find those extremely helpful as we go through this. So number 1, double click and open up color. Again, if you forget how to do this, you can double click on it in your folder to bring up your book panel, or you can go into window and it should be down at the bottom and you can click on it there. So one way or another, get your book panel up, open up color 1. That's what we need open. And then our next step is we're going to go up to Window, Types and Tables, Index. So I'm going to go up to Window, down to Types and Tables, and click on Index, which will bring up the Index panel. And let's see if I can get it to attach so you can see it. Okay, it did attach, so hopefully you can see it now. Okay, on page 1 of the document, what it wants you to do is highlight the word hieroglyphics in the middle of the second line. So I'm going to go over and grab the type tool, and in the second line on page 1, I need to find hieroglyphics, which is in parentheses. Do not grab the parentheses, just grab the word itself like so. And then in the index, you will see all sorts of buttons. In index panel, you will see all sorts of buttons at the bottom. And the one that we will use most frequently is the one right next to the garbage can, which is create a new index button. And I'm going to click that, and it will open up the new page reference. And what you want to do is make sure under type, and this is a dialog box you probably cannot see, and it says top level hieroglyphics, and below those 4 entries you will see something called type. Make sure it's on current page and click OK. And you will see now that the letter H in the index panel has hieroglyphics in it. Now, if hidden characters are not showing, it wants us to show them, and this is important to make sure you don't highlight anything more than necessary. So let's go up to Type, down to the bottom, and Show Hidden Characters. So we have our hidden characters turned on. In the index panel, again, you will see hieroglyphics under the word H. And then it says go ahead and close it back up, so you don't need to keep it open. Now what we're going to do is highlight the word papyrus that is in the next line. So I'm going to highlight, I'm going to blow this up a little bit. It is too small and making it too difficult to see. So I will highlight papyrus like so. Now this is very, very cool. And this is where the shortcuts start coming in. And it's an easier way to do this. And so I'm going to highly recommend you remember it. What we're going to do is we're going to, for a PC, is we're going to hold down Control, Alt, Shift all at the same time and then hit the left square bracket. And that is the quick way of adding, and you'll see indeed underneath the P, papyrus has now been added. Now what we want to do next is we're going to look for rock carvings, which is a little bit further down, and do Control Alt Shift and left bracket and put in rock carvings. And then we want to do clay tablets, so go down and highlight clay tablets and do the same thing. And volume, which is right after that, we will also add. So add volume. And then also add, oh, I guess that's it. Now on page 2 of the document, okay, at the very bottom, I'm going to click on page 2. This is going to be a little bit different, and you'll understand here in just a second. We are going to highlight the words Johannes Gutenberg in the second line of the first paragraph. So we're going to look for on page 2. It's down here under automating process. We're going to highlight his name. And we're going to hold down Control Alt Shift, but what we're going to do is hit the right bracket this time. And what it does is, if you look under G, it puts his last name first. So that is how you add names of people using their last name, okay? And there it is. Okay, now on page 4, let's go to page 4. What we want to find is Henry William Fox Talbot in the first line of the second paragraph. So let's see if we can find Henry. Okay, actually it's not on page 4, it's on page 2. So go to page 2 right under photography, and in the second row you will see the William Henry Fox Talbot, and that's what you're going to highlight. And once you highlight it, you're going to hold Control, Alt, and Shift and hit the right bracket key, and that will put it in. And then if we add a reverse topic reference to the name, the other way to do it would be to do the Control Alt Shift and do a left bracket, and that would put it in under his first name of William. Okay, in the text, highlight space character between Fox and Talbot. What we're going to do, okay, let's go up here, and you will notice that there is a dot between Fox and Talbot, and what you want to do is just highlight that dot, and then we're going to go up to type and down to insert white space, and we are going to put in a non-breaking space. So click non-breaking space, okay, which puts it in. And then we're going to highlight the name again. And we are going to Control-Alt-Shift and hit the right bracket. And what that should have done, let's see if it did. His last name is Talbot, so let's look under T. No, it didn't do it. I'm not quite sure how that is supposed to work because I couldn't get it to work last time either. Okay, it should have made the last name Fox Talbot with the no break space, but it did not. So, well, let's look under F just to be sure. Okay, it did. It put in that, you'll see it here, the no break space. Okay, so it did put it as an alt as Fox Talbot. Okay, now the next step of what it wants you to do is it wants you to scan the text of the document, add current page index entries to all the people mentioned in the chapter, adding all names in reverse order using the non-breaking space as necessary to keep the compound last names together, and then save the document. So your next step is to start on page 1, go through and find every name that's listed in this document and add those names by holding down Control-Alt-Space and then using the right bracket and putting in all the named people. So I will do that now, and I'm going to pause it so you can take some time to do that also. Okay, our next step is adding multi-page references. In some cases, you need to add multi-references to a specific index topics. Rather than searching all through the text to find every instance of a topic, you can use an Add All button to the new page reference dialog box. So with this open, from the excerpt, let's navigate to page 3. So we are going to go to page 3. And highlight the word printing at the very beginning of the paragraph. Now, my numbers for some reason are messed up. I do not know what I did on this one. My other one is correct. This one is not for some reason. So let's see if we can find printing on page 3. Okay, printing on page 3. What you're going to do is you're going to highlight the word printing like so at the beginning of the first paragraph, and in the new reference we're going to add new, which opens up the new page reference dialog box. And what we're going to do is we're going to click, instead of add, we are going to click add all and then done. And you will see under printing, if I open it up, okay, it shows the one page. Now, if I highlight a lowercase of the word, so I will go down to this one, go down and add all, and done. You will see that I get a whole number of them added to the entry in the page reference dialog box. And so once you have done all of that, so you can see how it's easy to add a whole bunch of pages and how to add just one page, let's do a Control-S to save our work so you can move on to the next portion of the lesson. The next thing that we are going to do is add a page range reference, and this is on page 516. Now there's a whole bunch of different ways it can be done, and it lists all of those ways. Please take time to read how the different ones work, and then we will start with the lesson down on number 1. Okay, we're going to navigate to page 1 of the layout. So back to page 1. And then highlight the word history in the title. Okay, and in go down and create new, and what we're going to do is change that H to a lowercase h, like so, in the dialog box, and choose end of document in the type. And once I have chosen end of document to the type, I'm going to click the add button. And then I'm going to click done. And when I go look under history, you will see that it shows pages 1 through 6. So that's how easy it is to show how history is within pages 1 through 6. So that's how you make it show up. Now, the next one we're going to do is we're going to highlight the word illumination in page 1. So I will scroll down to illumination and highlight the word and click create a new entry down at the bottom of the index panel. And with this open, what I am going to do is in the type menu, I'm going to change it to next use of style is what I'm going to select, and then I'm going to choose head 1, excuse me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the add button. So what I did again was illumination is in top level, type it says to next use of style. To the right of that in the style box I chose head 1, and then once I've done that I'm going to click add, and then I'm going to click done. And if I go down and let's see if yes I have something, and I'll see illumination, and I open the drop-down box and I see illumination shows 1 as the reference. In the index panel, click 1 reference to illumination topic. Okay, so I'm going to click it, and then I'm going to go down and click the delete button, which is the garbage can, and it asks if I want to delete the selection, and I say yes, and that's how easy it is to remove one from the list. Now what I'm going to do is right after the word illumination, I'm going to go down and highlight just the word for. Let's see if I can do it without getting the dot. There, just the word for right after the illumination heading, and I'm going to click create new entry. And this time I'm going to change the text in the first topic level field to illumination, and I type that in. And in the type field I'm going to choose to next use of style again, and then I'm going to choose header 1 again, and I'm going to click add, and I'm going to click done to close the dialog box. Now I'm going to show you what it did this time. This time what it did, because of how I did it right afterwards, it shows page 1 and 1 through 2. So that is how you can change it to show more pages like 1 through 2, since this continues on through the next page. And how it picked that up was by highlighting the first word of the sentence, or the first word of the paragraph. It picked up how far the whole paragraph went. So that is how you can make it go from one page to the next if necessary and if you need to. At this point, let's do Control S to save our work.